I'm gonna play a little bit. You can take some.
All over when she walks, she made a blind man.
Hello, viewers, and our worldwide audience of serious pain heads. It's James Connery, half-assed reporter to do what we do. It's a Thursday afternoon in the city. We're gonna run in here to VITO SCHNABEL and see a show by his dad, Julian, titled Van Gogh's Trees of Home for Peter Beard, curated by Bruno Bischofberger. Stay tuned. Second door open. Okay. Well, we'll make our sweep around the gallery. It's a nice intimate show. Van Gogh's Trees of Home for Peter Beard, 8. This is 2020 oil and plates and Bondo on wood. 83 by 131. Well, I was interested to see that this was curated by Bruno Bischofberger. I think probably one of the earliest supporters and dealers of Julian's work. I think he's got a gallery in Switzerland someplace, maybe a couple of places. And he was also kind of instrumental in that Switzerland is located between Italy and Germany, and so when the Trans-Avantgarde train started, he was kind of right between the two locomotives. And I think that Julian was a perfect American example of that kind of return to painting. There's a very nice essay that Bruno Bischofberger has written, but one of the interesting aspects is that he's got quotes after quote after quote about art critics that have spoken about Julian since he first kind of debuted around 1979, 78. This is Bruno Bischofberger, April 2024. Julian Schnabel is one of the most significant American painters of the last 45 years. In the 1970s, when painting was no longer possible because painting was said to be dead, he embarked on a new path that changed everything, and with this, a whole new chapter in art history began. Since then, Schnabel and his work have been subject to many texts, articles, and commentaries, and he's been highly praised and equally excoriated. Some authors have later patiently amended their misjudgment. They only became aware of his impact at a later stage. He literally was the figurehead of a new generation of artists, and he bluntly brought back what had been lost, often provocative, though not without sensitivity. The significance of Schnabel Schnabel's output can be best expressed with the words of art critic, curators, and close friends who have accompanied and followed the artist for decades, from his first artistic steps to the present. Okay, we always like to do a little art history quiz. I think this format is based on a Van Gogh composition. It's like maybe Van Gogh on the Road to Arles, which has also been used as a subject matter for a couple of paintings by Francis Bacon back in the late 50s, early 60s. Okay, this is Van Gogh's Trees of Home for Petersburg number 9. This is 2020. Oil plates, Mondawon wood, 83 by 131. We're going to try to get up and visit the second part of this show, which is at VITO's gallery. I believe it's on 19th Street. So it's going to be a long day. We've got a lot of great stuff out there. We're going to try to capture some of it. Okay, I've been a long time fan of Julian's. I think maybe the first exhibition I saw in Soho when I came to study at the Art Students League was Julian's first show at Mary Boone. I mean, I was going to the Art Students League and someone said, "Hey, you should go down to Soho." I said, What is Soho? Anyway, I walked in and I was blown away. And at the time, I wasn't aware of all the historical baggage, the kind of the conceptual minimalism hegemony that had been controlling the New York art scene for the last 15 years. But I did see the paintings and I liked them. Okay, this one is titled Van Gogh's Trees of Home for Petersburg number 7. And, gosh, so that must have been something like 1979. So maybe 40 years ago. And, well, I've bumped into Julian a couple of times over that period. And there's been a lot of, well, time has gone by, and inevitably there's a lot of tragic stuff that happens. You know, I saw his show of the rose gardens around Van Gogh's grave. I guess this has been 5 or 6 years ago now, that he was using to help finance his Van Gogh movie. And I think these are more striking. So one of the questions I've always had is, gosh, how would you store this stuff? I mean, he's got shards of pottery that stick out 7, 8, 9 inches. Okay, we're gonna finish our little downtown tour here with Trees number 1. It's 2020. So gosh, at this point, these paintings are 4 years old. Okay, this is a small one. This is only 72 by 60, so we're talking 6 by 5 feet. Okay, so this is James Kalm reporting on Julian Schnabel, Van Gogh's Trees of Home for Peter Beard 2020 at the VITO SCHNABEL on Clarkson Street. We're gonna run up to Chelsea now. Stay tuned. Okay, well, we pedaled up to Vito's Gallery on 19th Street. We're gonna run in and see a retrospective. Yeah, Julian Schnabel paintings from 1978 to 87, curated by Bruno Bischofberger. Oh boy. I remember seeing this one in one of his early shows, maybe the first show he was shared with Leo Castelli. We'll make our sweep. Oh boy. Some big paintings. The Red Hills near Fez. Portrait of Jacqueline. It's oil plates and Bondo on wood, 110 by 121 by 12. Was Jacqueline his first wife? Okay. And I don't know how many children he had with her, but who knows, maybe this is is this Vito's mother? That's correct. Okay. I think also this is one of the earlier pieces where Julian started using the jutted out blocks, almost like some kind of an architectural structure on this. This is 1985. It's an Aborigine painting. It's 1980, oil plates and Bondo on wood, and oil on canvas. 96 by 86. Well, I've always enjoyed Julian's sense for his materials. These sections with the broken plates, always nice. But also he was doing some great things with the contrast. So you've got this other panel. It's just stretched canvas, but the contrast of the textures is great. And I was going to the Art Students League at the time when this piece was shown, and someone suggested that the Aborigine was actually one of the teachers at the Art Students League, Mr. Stapleton, I think his name was. This is Tower of Babel for AA. It's 1976 to 78, so this is one of the oldest pieces in the show. And yeah, this is like the initial paintings that I saw. One of the things I liked about this is the kind of the scraped down surface. In Bischofberger's little essay that he kind of introduces the show with, he talks about the fact that the painting was dead. Well, that's not exactly accurate. There were a few people who were painting, but they were painting in a very minimalist style. So you had people like Bryce Marden, Robert Ryman, some other people. And the Abstract Expressionists were still around, so people like Clifford Still were still a presence. And I think one of the things I liked about the work was this kind of scraped in surface. Almost looks kind of waxy, like some of the minimal Bryce Marden pieces. It's kind of Notre Dame. It's 1979, also an older piece. 90 by 108 by 12. Well, I think one of the stories, one of the legends about the early Julian was that he got the idea for the broken plate paintings because he was working as a cook and dishwasher at Max's Kansas City, and well, there were always people dropping plates, and so he collected up the plates and took them home and decided he was going to do something with them. And I think it probably took him a while to figure out exactly how to stick these things together. But yeah, once he did, he was on a roll. The patients and the doctors okay, we've got this kind of elongated torso shape that he uses in several of the pieces. And I've also heard that when Julian was living in Texas, that he had gone to visit Forrest Bess, the great visionary artist. I guess he was in some kind of a rest home at the time. And thinking that some of this imagery might be influenced by Forrest Bess, maybe? This is number 17. Red Cross painting for N. Fisher, 1978. This is 1977 to 1978. Oil modeling paste on canvas. 96 by 52 and a half. Well, I also look at this and wonder if Julian had mixed wax into the paint. There's a lot of people doing kind of encaustic-y kinds of things, mostly inspired by Bryce Marden, but there are a lot of people that were playing around with that surface. I remember I used to make deliveries for Utrecht, and one of the people I would drop stuff off for was a lady named Kay Walking Stick, wonderful artist who's getting some attention these days, but she used a wax medium. And I like his little ridges there, whatever that means. This is titled Portrait of Johnny Points, 1983, oil and modeling paste on canvas. Well, a lot of people were fatutzt, outraged, all that when they saw Julian's paintings on plates. And then within a year or two after that, he came out with a whole series of paintings on velvet, especially the black velvet like this. And of course, everybody said, wow, now you've gone too far. I mean, there is kitsch, but God, not even any serious artist could ever like go to the Mexican black velvet paintings and try to make them into serious art. But I think Julian kind of takes those aesthetic ideas as challenges. I was actually at a show here maybe 6 or 8 months ago, the Curator show, something about the last rider. It was De Curico's paintings of horses. Luxus Mummius 10. It's 1987, 134 by 146. Oil spray paint gesso and modeling paste on tarp. Well, back to the kitsch story. So we're going through the show and we're looking at some beautiful paintings by De Curico of horses on the beach. And I looked at one of them and Julian was looking at it and I asked him, is this kitsch? And he goes, I don't think so. I says, why not? He said, because kitsch would have the connotation of being bad. And I said, well, that all depends on how you define it. He says, yeah, that's right. It could be some kind of transgressive good. So we're talking about the black velvet. And then there was a whole series of shows which Julian painted on these, I think they're truck tarps from the Mexican army, something like that. I believe by this time he had moved on from Mary Boone and was showing with Pace uptown, or maybe Mary was sharing him. Also, I kind of like the brushy text in here. Okay, so they're talking about spray paint. Looks like he was laying something down and then sort of stenciling around it. Spray painting around his stencils. Okay, I've seen reproductions of this piece, but I've never seen it in real life. It's titled Australia. This is a big painting. This is 102 by 204 by 6. I was also going to say that I think a lot of people kind of disregard Julian's talents as a colorist. And it was like a lot of people thought that Philip Guston had what they called the pink eye. He always kind of tended everything towards the pink end of the spectrum. But I think that although Julian does have his kind of vocabulary of base colors, that if you can kind of see beyond the broken plates, there's a lot of nice color stuff going on. Also, this is kind of interesting in that he's used the plates and the shapes of the plates as sculptural structures to build his face and figure out of. So I'm kind of wondering where he got the idea for this image. It looks like some kind of Victorian children's book illustration. Some kind of architectural block on the head, and then waistcoat and knickers. The pot and the scraggly tree. I would be interested in knowing how much something like this would weigh. A ton? Something like that. Okay, this is 1986. So we're talking, this is nearly 40 years old. Leda and the Swan from the Mutant King series, 1981. Oil wax and rabbit skin glue on burlap. Gosh, this looks amazingly fresh. And I was talking about all the various things that Julian has painted on. Broken plates, black velvet, Mexican army truck tarps. He's also done things on maps and a lot of other things. But I like this, just the straight burlap. As you get to see his draftsmanship, painterly qualities. I think you also get a chance to see his carrying on the legacy of pretty much straight abstract expressionism. Said Clifford Still, Robert Motherwell, maybe some de Kooning. It's another big painting. Alice, 1987. Oil and temper on Kabuki Theater backdrop, 180 by 132. Okay, so here's another example of Julian painting on a found object. Okay, so I'm wondering, would you lay that down and paint on it while you're walking around it, or would you have this leaning up against the wall in your studio and be getting up there on ladders? Okay, so we see some drops splashing down the other way. Maybe he had this horizontally in the studio and was painting on it some of the time that way. think the other aspect about painting on a found surface is that it requires you to struggle, kind of fight to force the picture plane to your will or something. Maybe you're just flailing along and it's forcing you to do what it wants you to do, but there is some kind of a tension that's created. I was going to say this big kind of a S shape kind of makes me think of another large letter, another piece of text. Okay, well, we're in the downstairs gallery. Folk music, 1984. This is 60 by 48, so by far the smallest piece in the show. And again, we get to see our Julian's brown. Yeah, I think 1984 would probably be about the top, the tip of the Schnabel phenomenon. He was a real superstar, celebrity. I think Mary Boone had been on the cover of, maybe it was the New Yorker magazine, something like that. They were covered on all the gossip pages. Procession for Jean Vigo, 1979. It's 110 by 86 inches. Oil wax and modeling paste on canvas. Okay, I think I saw this in the first show too. And one of the things that always struck with me was these little notches. I think there was another painting called something like Saint Sebastian that was in that show as well that I remember, and I think at some point they showed that painting in the East Village, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. I know I was in there watching it, and Knight Landesman, the former publisher of Art Forum, came in and we chatted about it a little bit. I'm also thinking that they're listing wax in here again, and I'm thinking there are probably a lot of pieces that have got wax that they're not mentioning in the medium. There's our torso. Got kind of a extended infinity sign there. Well, we all hope that someday we have children that are successful gallerists that can give us shows when we need them. James Kalm reporting on paintings for home and Julian Schnabel paintings from 1978 to 1987, curated by Bruno Bischofberger. You can like this, share, link it up to all your social media sites. You can talk about it. for months. And you can leave your thoughts, ideas, comments, criticisms, and reviews below. And again, you can subscribe and like it. But please, say thank you, Kate.
Rock me, baby.